Xylazine is wreaking havoc on the streets of America, a quiet yet lethal force hidden within the drugs many, especially the homeless in America, turn to in their desperation.
And it's literally decimating the American youth. You know, it's just a quiet killer going on right now.
This veterinary sedative, often referred to as Tranq in the world of addiction, was never intended for human consumption. Yet it has become a deadly partner to fentanyl and heroin. For those living without shelter, Xylazine is more than just a drug. It represents a harsh reality of a system that has abandoned them. Today we're delving into the core of this crisis, examining how it's destroying the lives of the homeless in America and what it reveals about the nation we've become. The harsh reality of Xylazine, used among the homeless. Xylazine, a drug originally designed for animals, has become a lethal presence among the homeless in areas like Kensington, Philadelphia, and the Tenderloin, San Francisco. This powerful sedative, when mixed with fentanyl or heroin, creates a dangerous combination, often without the user's knowledge.
So there's xylazine in most of the fentanyl now, and apparently the xylazine causes skin wounds that take like months to heal. And what it does is like the soft tissue, I guess, like dies, and instead of healing, it'll rot.
What exacerbates the issue is that for the homeless already struggling with addiction, mental health challenges, and a lack of essential resources, Xylazine offers a cheap and accessible escape. It's no longer merely a drug issue, it's a public health crisis and a moral failing. In 2019, Xylazine was involved in just 3% of overdose deaths. By 2022, that figure had risen to 11%. And a 2023 study in Puerto Rico found that 73% of heroin users unknowingly used Xylazine. The connection with homelessness is alarming, as 81% of those injecting Xylazine were either homeless or living in shelters. In Miami, more than half of urine samples from drug users tested positive for Xylazine, highlighting its significant link to homelessness. These statistics aren't theoretical. They represent the suffering of real individuals, often neglected by society. The homeless are especially vulnerable to Xylazine due to their harsh circumstances. Lacking stable housing access to healthcare and mental health services, addiction can spiral unchecked. Xylazine's widespread low-cost presence makes it especially accessible to those on the streets. Many users are unaware they're consuming it. Dealers mix it with heroin or fentanyl, selling it for less, and the outcomes are fatal. This brings up a difficult question. Why are we allowing the most at-risk members of society to endure such a dangerous substance without even a warning? These individuals are not faceless. They are veterans, parents, and neighbors. Yet their pain is often overlooked in favor of political debates and policies that fail to address the root causes of homelessness. The growing use of Xylazine among the homeless isn't just a public health crisis. It's a profound moral failure. In urban areas like Kensington, where the so-called Tranq epidemic has taken hold, homeless individuals often sleep in doorways or makeshift tents, their bodies ravaged by untreated infections from repeated injections. Organizations such as Savage Sisters strive to provide harm reduction services, clean needles, wound care, and education, but it remains a tough battle. The stigma surrounding addiction only makes it harder for these people to access the help they need. Puerto Rico's situation mirrors this grim reality. The same 2023 study revealed that homeless drug users are at a higher risk of severe skin infections and fatal overdoses from Xylazine. Without access to basic hygiene or medical care, the homeless suffer in silence. Their already unbearable lives worsened by a drug they never asked for. The rise of Xylazine among the homeless points to a deeper issue: society's failure to offer the safety nets necessary to break the cycle of homelessness and addiction. Without housing, healthcare, or support systems, individuals become easy targets for exploitation. Dealers in pursuit of profit add Xylazine to drugs because it's cheaper than fentanyl, but the victims are the ones who pay the ultimate price. Homelessness in America isn't only about the lack of housing. It's about a more fundamental failure in how we care for our most vulnerable citizens. This crisis won't resolve itself, and unless society takes real action to address the root causes, people will continue to fall victim to substances like Xylazine. The time for change is now. The devastating harms of Xylazine on the homeless. The effects of Xylazine on the homeless in America are both physically and emotionally devastating. Unlike typical opioids, which primarily impact the brain, Xylazine causes severe and often subtle damage to the body. For those living on the streets, the consequences are much more severe due to the lack of medical care or basic hygiene. This goes beyond an individual tragedy. It places immense pressure on already overburdened communities and healthcare systems. One of the most alarming effects of Xylazine is its impact on the skin. Users often develop painful open sores at the injection sites. These are not ordinary wounds. They are persistent, often leading to serious infections or necrosis where tissue dies. Sometimes this results in the need for amputation. This situation is far more dangerous for the homeless. They don't have the luxury of clean water, sterile bandages, or antibiotic to treat these wounds. For instance, in a video update on Tranq in Miami, a user described a scar on her arm from a hole about an inch deep. She explained that Xylazine destroys the soft tissue, preventing the skin from naturally healing or scabbing over.
It's the Xylazine that once you have the infection and the open wound that fucks up the soft tissue. You know that like it said on Google, and then your skin doesn't scab the way it's supposed to. You know and now the wounds stay open. You know, and then that causes more infection.
That permanent scar serves as a harsh reminder of how Tranq halts the body's ability to heal, turning a minor injection mistake into a source of long-lasting infection and decay. Imagine the agony of lying on filthy concrete with an open wound vulnerable to infection from every surface. In America, for the unhoused, this isn't a distant fear, it's their everyday reality. Xylazine's role in overdose deaths is another terrifying aspect of this crisis. When mixed with fentanyl, it forms a lethal combination that slows the heart and suppresses breathing. Between 2020 and 2022, the CDC confirmed that Xylazine was involved in a significant number of overdose deaths, especially in areas with high homeless populations. What makes this even more tragic is that naloxone Narcan, the antidote for opioid overdoses, is ineffective against Xylazine. First responders may save a person from a fentanyl overdose, only for them to succumb to a xylazine overdose moments later. For homeless individuals who often use drugs alone, their survival chances are slim. Xylazine withdrawal is also incredibly painful. Unlike opioid withdrawal, which can be managed medically, xylazine withdrawal causes intense anxiety, muscle pain, and even seizures. For those on the streets, getting the necessary treatment is nearly impossible. Clinics are often far away, and the stigma surrounding homelessness and addiction makes it even harder to seek help. With the system stacked against them, recovery feels like an impossible dream. The social consequences of xylazine use among the homeless are just as dire. The visible wounds and erratic behavior caused by the drug make it harder for them to find work, secure housing, or even be treated with respect. In areas like Kensington, where homelessness is already marginalized, xylazine's effects only deepen the divide. Users are often dehumanized and labeled as zombies, making it easier for society to ignore their suffering. The strain on public services is another ripple effect. Emergency rooms are overwhelmed with homeless patients suffering from xylazine-related injuries and overdoses. Harm reduction programs, which provide clean needles and wound care, are stretched thin, often lacking the resources to meet the overwhelming demand. In Philadelphia, harm reduction groups report treating dozens of xylazine-related injuries daily, with limited funding and staff. The homeless trapped in this cycle become both victims and a glaring reminder of how the system continues to fail those most in need. Factors fueling the xylazine crisis among the homeless. The spread of xylazine among the homeless in America is not a random event. It's the consequence of a deadly mix of systemic failures and predatory practices. At the heart of this crisis is the illicit drug market, where xylazine has become a cheap and dangerous tool for making a profit. According to the DEA, xylazine is often smuggled into the U.S. from overseas sources. Its low cost makes it an attractive additive for dealers seeking to stretch their fentanyl or heroin supplies. For the homeless, this means the drugs they depend on for relief are increasingly contaminated with a substance they never chose. Vulnerable and desperate, they become victims of this exploitative system. However, the drug trade alone doesn't fully explain the crisis. A lack of access to healthcare and addiction treatment plays a crucial role. For the homeless, seeking medical attention or entering rehab is an almost insurmountable challenge. Without insurance proper identification or a stable address, many are unable to access treatment programs. And when services are available, they are often underfunded and ill-equipped to handle the complexities of xylazine addiction. Unlike opioids, xylazine requires specialized care for withdrawal and to manage the severe physical damage it causes, such as deep skin wounds. But most clinics serving the homeless are overwhelmed, offering only basic care or referrals that lead to little or no help. This gap in services traps individuals in a relentless cycle, unable to break free from their addiction. Homelessness itself is a major contributor to this crisis. Life on the streets means constant exposure to danger, from violence to extreme weather. For many, drugs offer a fleeting sense of control or escape. Xylazine's sedative effects may provide temporary relief from the harsh realities of survival, but that relief comes at a high cost. Without stable housing, the homeless have nowhere safe to store medications, keep appointments, or even rest while detoxing. Their lives are defined by instability, making it nearly impossible to escape addiction, especially when dealers target them with cheap, deadly substances. The psychological toll of homelessness only amplifies the pull of drugs like Xylazine. The daily battle to find food, avoid harassment, and simply stay alive erodes any sense of hope, pushing many toward drugs as a coping mechanism. Dealers exploit this vulnerability, flooding these communities with laced drugs that are both addictive and harmful. The result is a self-perpetuating cycle. Homelessness drives addiction, addiction deepens homelessness, and Xylazine tightens the grip. How can we break this cycle when the system seems intentionally structured to keep people trapped? This is a question we must all grapple with. Harm reduction and support a glimmer of hope. Amid the overwhelming darkness of the Xylazine crisis, there are still rays of hope efforts that are pushing back against the tide and offering support to those trapped by this deadly drug. Harm reduction programs are leading the charge, providing practical and life-saving solutions. In cities like Philadelphia, organizations such as Savage Sisters are distributing clean needles, testing drugs for Xylazine, and treating the severe wounds it causes. These programs go beyond simply providing supplies. They offer dignity, meeting individuals where they are without judgment. For those living on the streets and often shunned by society, even the smallest gestures like a clean bandage or a kind word can have a profound impact. Education is another vital tool in this battle. Harm reduction groups are working to raise awareness about the dangers of Xylazine, teaching users how to identify laced drugs and what to do in the event of an overdose. While naloxone can't reverse the effects of Xylazine, it remains essential for counteracting the opioid component of an overdose, and these organizations ensure it is available in high-risk areas. They also emphasize the importance of wound care and hygiene, which are crucial for preventing infections among those living on the streets. Although these efforts may seem small in the face of such a vast crisis, they save lives every day. However, much more needs to be done. Policy changes are critical to expanding these efforts and providing the necessary support. Increased funding for free clinics and mobile health units could help bring care directly to the homeless, overcoming barriers such as lack of transportation or identification. There's also an urgent need for treatments specifically designed to manage Xylazine withdrawal, as current options are limited and often inaccessible. Some cities are experimenting with supervised injection sites where users can consume drugs under medical supervision, lowering the risk of overdose and infection. Though controversial, these programs have seen success in countries like Canada and could offer valuable insights for the U.S. Yet the foundation of any long-term solution lies in housing. Without a stable place to call home, recovery is nearly impossible. Programs like Housing First, which prioritize providing housing without preconditions, have proven effective in reducing substance use and improving health outcomes. Providing someone with a safe, secure place to live is the first step toward helping them rebuild their life. Unfortunately, funding for these programs is often reduced in favor of short-term solutions, leaving the homeless to struggle on their own. The real question is, what will it take for us to view housing as a basic human right rather than a luxury? The answer lies in political will, which has often been in short supply. Community support is also essential. Local organizations, churches, and volunteers are stepping in to fill the gaps left by government programs. In San Francisco, groups like Glide Memorial provide meals, clothing, and connections to addiction services, offering a sense of belonging to those who have been cast aside. These efforts remind us that change doesn't always need to come from the top down. Sometimes it begins with neighbors helping neighbors, one small act at a time. A personal perspective. As I've delved into this crisis, I've found myself grappling with a mix of anger and sorrow. I've spent years watching the news, reading reports, and talking to people about the state of our nation, but nothing hits quite like the stories of those living on the streets ensnared by Xylazine's grip. There's a man I heard about in Philadelphia, a veteran who served 2 tours abroad, now sleeping in an alley with sores so deep they've eaten into his muscle. He didn't choose this life, just as he didn't choose to take Xylazine. It was handed to him in a syringe mixed with false promises of relief. His story isn't unique. It resonates in every city, in every tent city or shelter. What truly breaks my heart is how invisible these people have become. We walk past them, look away, and convince ourselves it's not our problem, but it is. Every wound, every overdose, every life claimed by Xylazine is a failure of our collective humanity. I think about my own family, my own community, and I wonder how close any of us are to falling through the cracks. A lost job, a medical bill, a misfortune. That's all it takes for someone to end up on the streets reaching for something to numb the pain. Could we do more? If we saw the homeless as our own family, not strangers, I believe we could. But it begins with confronting the truth and refusing to turn a blind eye. Conclusion. The Xylazine crisis among the homeless in America is a profound wound, reflecting our nation's failure to respond. Merely grieving or acknowledging the statistics isn't enough. We must demand real change. This crisis requires more funding for harm reduction, broader access to treatment, and most crucially, stable housing for those without shelter. It's not just a drug issue, it's a human rights issue that demands both compassion and action. We must see the homeless, hear their stories, and advocate for a system that truly supports them. Only through these efforts can we begin the healing process and address the underlying causes of this crisis.